Static web application common to all users or specific to user? Dynamic web application specific to user. Static web application where it resides? Server. Where it runs? Browser. Dynamic web application where it resides? Server. Where it runs? Server only. Whenever request comes to static web application, what server will do? Sends a program to a browser. Whenever request comes to dynamic web application, what server will do? Executes a program, sends the output to a browser. Static web application, can I develop with only HTML? Yes. Dynamic application? No. Okay. These all you studied. Next, applets versus servlets. Note. Applets versus servlets. From here onwards, programming related. Every point important only. Applets versus servlets. One side applets. One more side servlets. Applets versus servlets. See, applet also Java program, servlet also Java program. Note down. An applet is a Java program. An applet is Java program that resides in server and runs in browser. An applet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in browser. A servlet is a Java program. A servlet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in server. Runs in server only. An applet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in browser. A servlet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in server only. See, applet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in browser. A servlet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in server only. This applet just like a HTML. Okay. Next, applets are used to extend the functionality of browser. Applets are used to extend the functionality of browser. Applets are used to extend the functionality of browser. Servlets are used to extend the functionality of server. Applets are used to extend the functionality of browser. Servlets are used to extend the functionality of server. By using applet program, we can extend the functionality of browser. Browser itself, it provides functionality. That functionality with your applet program, we can extend. But here servlets, server functionality we can extend. Because it runs in browser, it runs in server. Now, it is nothing but applet like a static web application, servlet like a dynamic web application. But both are Java. Applet also Java, servlet also Java. Next, write it. Applets do not have main method. Because applet runs in browser. Applets do not have main method because applet runs in browser. Servlets do not have main method because servlet runs in server. Applets do not have main method because applet runs in browser. Servlets do not have main method because servlet runs in server. So no main method in applet program, no main method in servlet program. Main method will not be there. Okay. If you write also no use. It is not called. If you write main method also, it will be considered as normal method. It is not called automatically. It is no use. It is like treated as normal method. It is not going to be called because browser doesn't know main method, server doesn't know main method. But main method is not there where execution begins. That is I'll explain. Applet has a life cycle methods to run in browser. Applet has a life cycle methods Applet has lifecycle methods to run in browser. Servlet has a lifecycle methods. Applet has lifecycle methods. Many are there. Lifecycle methods. Servlet has lifecycle methods. Applet has lifecycle methods to run in browser. Servlet has lifecycle methods to run in server. Applet has lifecycle methods to run in browser. Servlet has lifecycle methods to run in server. So here main method will not be there. Main method is not there. Then lifecycle will be there. Okay. Here you observe whatever I given up to here. You observe applets versus servlets. Actually, applet also web application, servlet also web application. That's what comparison required. Both are web application, but difference is there. Comparison required. So applet is a Java program that resides in server, runs in browser. Servlet is a Java program that resides in server and runs in server only. Yesterday you studied if the application resides in server, runs in browser, that application is called static web application. If the application resides in server, runs in server, dynamic web application. So applet nothing but static web application, servlet nothing but dynamic web application. Remaining about static, dynamic, yesterday you studied. Okay. Applets are used to extend the functionality of browser. Browser itself, it provides some functionality. That functionality with your applet program you can extend. So server itself, it provides a functionality. That functionality with your servlet program you can extend. That's what applets are used to extend the functionality of browser. Servlets are used to extend the functionality of server. Applets do not have main method. No main method in applet. If you write, no use. It is not executed. Because applet runs in browser. Browser doesn't know main method. If you write also, it is not called. It will be treated as normal method. Okay. Servlets do not have main method because servlet runs in server. If you write main method also, it is not executed because server doesn't know main method. If the program is running under operating system, then main method required. But if the program is running in browser, main method not required. Server not required. So that's what applets, servlets, no main method. But main method is not there where execution begins. Execution purpose life cycle. Applet has life cycle methods. Not one method, many are there. That's the reason. Applet has life cycle methods to run in browser. Servlet has life cycle method to run in servers. Okay. Now next, life cycle methods of an applet. Here, life cycle methods of a solid. Life cycle methods of an applet. Life cycle methods of a solid. So life cycle methods of an applet, life cycle methods of a solid. Life cycle methods of an applet, life cycle methods of a solid. Now, here I'll give life cycle methods. Whatever I'm giving, as it is written, I'll explain. As it is written, why like this, I'll explain. Init method, start method, paint method, stop method, destroy method. Now I'll give arrows like this only, write it. Why, I'll explain. Write this one. Here, init method, service method, destroy method. Life cycle methods of an applet, life cycle methods of a solid. As it is written, like that, while arrows like that, I'll explain. Init, start, paint, stop, destroy. Init, service, destroy. I have to explain. First, I'll give the notes. After that, I'll explain. Say arrows light like this only. Here, stop, later, start. Like this arrows. Here, like this, service only like this. Why like this? I'll explain. Is it over? So here, how many life cycle methods are there? 5. Here, 3. Like that only write it. Is it completed? No. Now, that continuation, init method called by browser, init method is called by browser whenever applet is opened. Init method is called by browser whenever applet is opened. Init method is called by browser whenever applet is opened. Start method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. Start method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. Say this init method is called by browser whenever an applet is open time only. Start method is called opening time and activation time. Paint method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. Note left side only. Init method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened. Start method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. Paint method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. Init method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened. Start method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. Paint method is called by browser whenever an applet is opened and activated. So start, paint, same. Next. Stop method is called by browser whenever an applet is deactivated and closed. I have to explain, just write the notes. I have to explain. Stop method is called by browser whenever an applet is deactivated and closed. Stop method is called by browser whenever an applet is deactivated and closed. Destroy method is called by browser whenever an applet is closed. I have to explain. I'll explain. 5 methods. See, I'll ask some questions, give me answer first of all, then I'll explain. Applet resides in server or browser? Server. Runs in browser. So this program executed in browser system, client system. Browser nothing but client. Now, applet runs in browser. Applet runs in browser. It's just like a HTML. HTML runs in browser only, no? Like that. HTML style applet runs. Now,
Recording in progress.
How many life cycle methods are there? 5. What are those? Init, start, paint, stop, destroy. 5 life cycle methods. In 5 methods, init method, when it is called? When init method is called? Whenever applet is opened. When start method is called? Whenever applet is opened and activated. When paint method is called? Whenever applet is opened and activated. When stop method is called? Whenever applet is deactivated and closed. When destroy method is called? Applet is closed. Applet is closed only. Okay. Say applet runs in browser. Applet runs in browser. Suppose I'll open browser. Now applet is open like that. Okay, applet is open. If applet is open, now whenever applet is open, how many methods called? You see the notes. You can give answer. Whenever applet is open, how many methods called? How many? 3 methods called. Question different angle I'm asking. Answer is there only. Okay. Answer is there only. You see notes. Init method, paint start method, paint method. Question different angle I'm asking. Okay. Answer is there only. Whenever applet is open, how many methods called? 3 methods called. 3 methods called. Okay. Init, start, paint. Whenever applet is deactivated, how many methods called? See the notes. Answer is there. 1. Whenever applet is deactivated, how many methods called? Answer is there only. Whatever I given notes, in that only answers are there. Questions different angle I'm asking, that's it. Okay. Once again. Whenever applet is open, how many methods called? 3 methods called. What are those? Init, start, paint. Whenever applet is deactivated, how many methods called? 1 method. That is stop. Whenever applet is activated, how many methods? 2 methods. What are those? Start and paint. Whenever applet is closed, how many methods called? 2 methods. What are those? Stop and destroy. See, that is remember. Now, suppose now I open browser. Then applet open. Init method, start method, paint method. 3 methods called. If I minimize, applet deactivated. If I minimize, then stop method is called. When I maximize, 2 methods called. Start, paint. Again minimize, stop. Again maximize, start, paint. If I close, stop, destroy. Okay. That is the reason I given like this. Init, start, paint, stop, destroy. See, I given arrows like this. Now applet is open. How many methods called? 3 methods. What are those? Init, start, paint. Applet is deactivated. One method. Stop. Applet is activated. Two methods. Start, paint. Deactivated. Stop. Activated. Start, paint. Deactivated. Stop. Activated. Closed. Stop and destroy. That's what arrows like that I given. Okay. This is the reason only I given arrows like this. Now, whenever applet is opened, init, start, paint. Deactivated. Stop. Activated. Start, paint. Deactivated. Stop. Activated. Start, paint. Deactivated. Stop. Activated. Start, paint. Closed. Stop, destroy. Okay. Now, here activation, deactivation means like suppose I'll open the browser. I'll open the browser. Now, suppose I'll open the browser. Applet open. Applet open. Init, start, paint. Minimize, stop, maximize, start, paint, minimize, stop, maximize, start, paint. If you close, stop, destroy. Like this also. And one more way, suppose applet open, init, start, paint. Now, without minimizing, if I open notepad, browser deactivated. That means applet deactivated. So, if we switch to other application also deactivated. Again, if we switch to browser, activated. If we switch to notepad, deactivated. Again, if we switch to browser, activated. This is called activation, deactivation. Minimize, maximize also activation, deactivation. If we switch to other applications also activation, deactivation. Okay. This is about applet. Now, solid side. Now, one more question. Question different angle. Answer is there only. Answer is there only. Init method, how many times called? One time or many times? One time or many times? One time. Start method, many times. Depends upon your usage. Paint method, many times. Depends upon your usage. Stop method, many times. Close destroy method, one time. Destroy only one time. Okay. Now solid side. Life cycle methods of a solid you written. Okay. Now after that write this one. Init method solid side, right side. Already life cycle methods you written. No? How many methods are there? 3. Init, service, destroy. Note down. Init method called by web container whenever first request comes to a solid. Init method called by web container. Init method called by web container whenever first request comes to a solid. Service method called by web container for every request. Destroy method called by web container whenever solid instance is removed from web container. Init method called by web container whenever first request comes to a solid. Service method called by web container for every request. Destroy method called by web container for whenever solid instance is removed from web container. That applet, if you forget also nothing will happen. Applet outdated. Solid is important. Okay. Solid is important. Init method called by web container whenever first request comes to a solid. Service method called by web container for every request. Destroy method called by web container whenever solid instance is removed from web container. Here, one more point I have to give. When solid instance is removed, that is how to explain. I have to give. Is it over? So, init method called by web container whenever first request comes to a solid. Service method called by web container for every request. Destroy method called by web container whenever solid instance is removed from web container. Solid instance, nothing but solid object. Whenever removed, then called. Writing is over. Now, right side only. Server solid side only. Solid instance is removed from web container. Server side, solid side only. Solid side only continuation. Solid instance is removed from web container whenever web application is undeployed from server or server shuts down. Solid instance is removed from web container whenever web application is undeployed from server or server shuts down. In two situations, solid instance removed. In two situations, solid instance is removed. Solid instance is removed from web container whenever web application is undeployed from server or server shuts down. Whatever I given notes, first you see that how many lifecycle methods are there? 3. What are those? Init, service, destroy. 3 methods. When init method called by web container, whenever first request comes to a solid. When service method called by web container, for every request. When destroy method called by web container, whenever solid instance is removed from web container. When solid instance is removed from web container, whenever web application is undeployed or server shuts down. I'll explain. Say it is server. It is web application. This is if you copy in server, it is called deploying. After deploying, if you remove from server, it is called undeploying. Okay. Application, if you copy into server, it is called deploying. If you remove from server, it is called undeploying. That is terminology. Okay. Deployment, undeployment. Now, I given like this. Init, service, destroy. 3 methods I given. But I given arrow like this. Arrows I given like this. Like this I given no? No. Why like this? I'll explain. Now, whatever I given notes, you observe again. Questions different angle, but answer is there only. Okay. Init method, when it is called by web container, whenever first request comes to a solid. When service method called by web container, every request. When destroy method called by web container, whenever solid instance is removed from web container. When solid instance is removed from web container, whenever web application is undeployed from server or server shuts down. That is as it is asked. Okay, as it is. Now question different angle. Whenever first request comes, how many methods called? See, again confusion is there. Now question different angle, answer there only. When first request comes, how many methods called? One method or two methods? Three also is there? Now, how many people answer one? Just raise your hand. How many people answer two? See, you see the notes. You see the notes. Any three also is there? Anybody three is there? One is there? Okay. Now, you see the notes. Init method called by web container whenever first request comes to a servlet. Service method called by web container. Every request means first request also request only, no? Every request I said. Every request means first request also request only. So how many method called? Two methods called. Init method called, service method called. Init method for first request only called, but service method every request means first request also included. Okay. Now first request comes, how many methods called? Two method. What are those? Init, service. Second request comes, how many method? One method, that is service. Third request, fourth request, fifth request, sixth request, last request. Last request, service only, not destroy. Destroy method when it is called? Whenever servlet instance removed, not for last request. So first, second request onwards up to last request also service only called. This destroy is going to be called whenever web application is undeployed or server shuts down. Application, if it is removed from container, if it is removed from server, then it is executed. Okay. So destroy is called whenever servlet instance is removed. Servlet instance, when it will remove, whenever application is undeployed or whenever you shut down the server. Whenever you shut down the server, it is called. But in real time, will they shut down server? Google server, Gmail server, will they shut down? Never. 365 days, 24 hours on only. Then destroy is not called. Okay. Now, so first request, two methods. Init, service. Second request, only service. Third request, up to last request, service only. Servlet instance, if it is removed, then destroy. Whenever application undeployed, if you remove application from your server, then suppose you will pay application purpose every year, you will pay money. That application. If you don't pay money, what they'll do? They'll remove. Your website, they'll remove from server, no? At that time, undeploy. That is destroy method called. And if they shut down server, destroy method called. Okay. Here, three methods. Is it clear? This servlet life cycle is important. Now, next, how many differences completed? 5. Next, sixth difference. Sixth one, life cycle methods of an applet are the part of java.applet.applet class. Life cycle methods of an applet are the part of java.applet.applet class. Year 6. Life cycle methods of a servlet are the part of Jakarta solid interface. Life cycle methods of an applet are the part of java.applet.applet class. Life cycle methods of a solid are the part of Jakarta.solid.solid interface. So here applet is a class, here solid is a interface. Jakarta.solid.solid interface. Next. Every applet must extends java.applet.applet class to derive lifecycle methods. Every applet must extends java.applet.applet class to derive lifecycle methods. Every solid must implements Jakarta.solid.solid interface to derive lifecycle methods. Every applet must extends java.applet.applet class to derive lifecycle methods. Every solid must implements Jakarta.solid.solid interface to derive lifecycle methods. Every applet must extends inheritance compulsory, both the cases, because to derive lifecycle methods. Every solid must implements solid interface to derive lifecycle methods. While writing applet program, inheritance compulsory. While writing solid program, inheritance compulsory. Here, it is interface, that's what implements keyword. It is a class, that's what extends keyword. Okay. Applet one class is there. That class you have to extend. Then only lifecycle inherited. Here solid interface is there. That is you have to implement. Then only lifecycle inherited in your program. Okay. You studied in previous all programs before these solids, JDBC, up to JDBC. Every program we written main method. Now these methods are equivalent to main method type. Okay. These methods automatically called. Main method are you calling? No. Automatically called? No. Like that. Their main method, here lifecycle methods. That's the equal. Okay. Main method, instance method or class method? Main method. Class method. How do you know? Static. Static. Okay. Here main method is class method because static method that is static method. Okay. Static method, main method is static method. Why they given main method as a static method? Why main method given as static method? They can give instance method, no? If they give instance method, what is the problem? For calling main method, you have to create object. Say, every program you are writing main method like this. Okay, like this you are writing. Now main method, instance method or class method? Class method, static. Now this program, suppose file name, class name is demo. Now I'll ask one question, give me answer. Class name is demo. Okay. File name test.java. Is it valid or not valid? Like this, valid or not valid? Valid? Sure. All people answer same. Okay, it is valid. Then how to compile this program? Java C. How to compile? Test.java. Then how to execute? Java demo. Okay, Java demo. So if you write class name, file name different, if you write class name, file name different, you have to compile, you have to execute like this. Because whenever you compile like this, here, whenever you compile like this, demo.class generated. Demo.class file generated here. Okay. So this test.java will compile. Then this demo.class generated. This demo.class we use to run. Okay. It is valid no? No. Now here, suppose file name also demo. Is it valid? Yes. Then how to compile? Java C demo.java. How to execute? Java demo. Without confusion, we are writing like this. But actually, that is also valid. That is also valid. This is also valid. Now also what is happening? This demo.java we are using. And this demo.class generated. That demo we are using. Now, here, at the command prompt while executing program, what we are writing here is this demo, not that demo. Got your point? If the file name, class name is different, you'll understand. Now, actually, many people, what they'll think, this demo, nothing but this demo, they'll think. Not that demo, this demo. Okay? Suppose, if it is file name is test. If file name is test, how to compile? Java C test.java. How to execute? Java demo. Okay. Now main method is instance method or class method? Class method. How many ways to access? 4 ways. What are those? Directly you can access by using class name, you can access by using object, you can access by using object reference, you can access. But here we are writing demo. This demo nothing but this class name. Okay. Then what system will do? Demo.main. It calls. Demo.main. It is going to be called. Like this main method is going to be called. Okay. Now, this is the reason main method is static. Suppose if it is non-static, assume. Now, assume it is non-static. Then how many ways to access? 2 ways. What are those? Which class object required? Same class, demo class object required. Then where you will create, how you will call. For calling that method also object required. What do you mean? So now if main method is non-static, for calling main method also object required, then where you will create object, how you will call. That is the reason they given static. Here for calling this method, class name required. While executing program, you are writing class name. Then dot main implicitly called. So that is the reason static they given. But here life cycle methods are instance methods. Object compulsory. But object we are not going to create. Web container creates. We are not going to call. Web container calls. Creating object, class should be accessible. Then only it will create object. For that, access modifiers. Now, what you have tried is public. Then only accessible. So, what is next number point? How many points completed? 7. 8th one. Note. 8th one. Every applet must be public because it should be accessible to browser to create an object. to call life cycle methods. Every applet must be public because it should be accessible to browser to create an object to call life cycle methods. Same style, every solid must be public because it should be accessible to web container to create an object to call life cycle methods. Every applet must be public because it should be accessible to browser to create an object to call life cycle methods. Every solid must be public because it should be accessible to web container to create an object to call life cycle methods. So for program, public compulsory or write public class. If the class without public, if you write program successfully compiled while executing, object is not created, then life cycle methods not called. Then exception comes. It is not accessible. That error comes. So while writing solid program, while writing applet program, class compulsory, we ought write public. Public class you ought write. Okay. Compulsory you ought write public. Then only that class is accessible to web container to create object to call life cycle methods. Okay. Now, is it over? Now, you observe. If we don't write public, class is not accessible to web container. Class is not accessible, then it won't create object. Then life cycle methods are not called. That is. Now, one more question. How many public classes we can write in one program? How many? Only one? Sure. Few people, they are not concentrating, observe. Say, that is core Java question, not advanced Java. How many public classes we can write in one program? Only one only we can write. More than one not possible. Okay. Non-public classes, n number of. And public class is there. File name, public class name must be same. Public class is not there. Any name you can write. Have studied or not these all? These four important. Why only one public class? You'll understand now. That in core Java not possible. Today I'll explain. Say you studied these rules. Declaration rules to a source file. Those who studied, no need to write. Those who don't know, those who forgot, write it. Declaration rules to a source file. Nothing but .java. First rule. A source file can have only one public class. Second rule. A source file can have any number of non-public classes. Third rule. If the source file contains public class, then public class name and file name must be same. If the source file contains public class, then public class name and file name must be same. If the source file does not contain public class, then no naming restrictions to a file name. These four rules, welcome program time only you studied in core Java class. First program. So declaration rules to a source file, nothing but .java file. Source file, nothing but .java file. For writing .java program, these 7 rules are there. 4 rules are there. 4 rules. A source file can have only one public class. A source file can have any number of non-public classes. If the source file contains public class, then public class name and file name must be same. If the source file does not contain public class, then no naming restrictions to a file name. These 4 rules are there. In core Java, welcome program time only you studied. First program. Core Java, don't forget. Core Java most important. Because advanced Java, what is there you observe? Every day same style will be there. You have seen JDBC. First program onwards, last program little bit different. But solids also, first program only little hard. Later nothing. Same style will be there, second program onwards. Logics are present in core Java only. All logics are present in core Java. Advanced Java only library. API will use. Every day we use API only. Declaration rules to a source file. Source file nothing but .java file. For writing .java program, 4 rules are there. Okay. A source file can have only one public class. In a .java program, only one public class we can write. More than one public class we cannot write. Non-public classes, n number of we can write. Suppose in your program public class is there. File name, public class name must be same. Suppose in your program public class is not there. Then any name you can write. Now, suppose in a one program, 10 classes are there. 10 classes. Okay, non-public classes 10. If I compile, how many dot class file generated? 1 or 10? 10 generated. That is, remembered or forgot that is also. Java compiler generates dot class file for every class. Okay, not for file. The Java compiler generates dot class file for every class in a source file. The Java compiler generates dot class file for every class in a source file. Every class one dot class file generated. Every class one dot class file generated. Suppose 10 classes are there. 10 classes. In 10 classes, 10 dot class file generated. But which class you have to use to execute? Main method class. A class that contains main method only can be used to execute the program. Other program, other class, if you execute, error comes. Okay. Now, is it clear? This is core Java concept. Now, why only one public class? That is, I'll explain now. Why only one public class? Suppose, is it over? Suppose here, class test. Okay, class test, class demo. Now, is it valid? Valid. Now, is it valid? Valid or not valid? Valid. Now, not valid. Why it is not valid? 2 public classes we cannot write. Okay. One public class you can write. But now file name, what we have to write? Compulsory test.java. You should not write demo.java. Okay. Now, suppose like this, valid. Then what is the file name you have to write? Demo.java. Public class name, file name must be same. Okay. Now, Two public classes we cannot write. If you write, what is the problem is, now server web container cannot understand. Both are accessible. Which object should create? That is the reason not possible. But in core Java, that is not possible to explain. Here possible. Like, why two public classes not possible? If two public classes are there, these two classes are accessible to server. Then web container cannot understand which object should create. That is the problem comes. That is the reason one public class only we can write. Now, whichever class is public, that class object created. Other classes not created. Other classes you can create, you can call. So, now you observe in core Java classes, what you did, other methods you written. Other methods you written. Okay. Other methods also written, other classes also you written. No? In a one program, you written many methods also. Okay. And even other classes also you written. Now, other methods, other classes you written. Now, whenever you execute the program, demo class loaded, main method called. From main method, you can call this one. You can call this one. And you can call this one. Otherwise, from main method, call show method. Show method, display method. From display method, print method. Like that you can call, no? But operating system is going to call only this method. Operating system is going to call only that method. Remaining methods, from main method, you are calling one by one. Okay? Like that only. In Servlet programs, you can write n number of classes. But one public class write. Like n number of classes you write. N number of classes you write. Here implements Servlet. We'll write lifecycle methods. Public, void, service, some lifecycle methods will write. Okay. From service method, you create object of this class, you call these methods. From service method, you create object of sample class, you call these methods. But public class one only, and that class implements Servlet, you're right. Okay. Not only implement Servlet, three ways are there. Implement Servlet possible, extend generic Servlet possible, extend HDB Servlet possible. I would explain, not completed. Okay. Like n number of classes you can write, but public class should be one only. That class is accessible to web container. With that class object created. With that object lifecycle methods called. Init, service, destroy. From those methods, you create other objects, you call other methods. Like that. Okay. So tomorrow, Monday you will see continuation. Monday. Say Monday, Tuesday, classes are most important. First program. Okay. Be regular. We'll see continuation on